Welcome to a sophisticated lady's beginner guide to fine arts. If you are an elegant lady, you might also be interested in becoming more sophisticated in general, and maybe you would like to be a little bit more knowledgeable in fine arts, but you are not yet. Fine arts can be quite intimidating for newcomers. But becoming literate in arts will really widen your horizon and make you much more sophisticated. Because art and fine arts is a topic that is very popular among elegant people. Of course, it doesn't hurt to know about this topic, especially when you are going to galleries, museums and art events, which is also a great place to network as a lady. And that's why I made this video as a really very beginner friendly and a general guide that will teach you the most important things that you need to know and give you also some valuable tips to appreciate the beauty of art more, to be able to engage in conversations without feeling overwhelmed or out of place. So let's start. Number 1. Understanding the basics of fine art. Fine arts encompass various disciplines that are created primarily for aesthetic or intellectual purposes. These include painting, sculpture, music, theater, dance, and architecture. I am very knowledgeable in theater and dance, but I am not very knowledgeable in the other disciplines of fine arts. Now, of course, most of us, when we are thinking about fine arts, we rather think about paintings or sculptures, and this is also what I will focus on in this video, because this is basically what most galleries are about. And in order to understand this part more, or these disciplines more, we come to tip number 2, which is developing a foundation in art history. So in order to appreciate fine arts, you need at least a basic understanding of major art movements and styles. So to make it easy, just focus on key periods and their characteristics, and I will give you the most important now. First, Renaissance. That was the 14th until the 17th century. The Renaissance is known for realism and humanism. Famous artists include Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Two names that you have surely heard of. Then comes the Baroque, that was the 17th till the 18th century, known for dramatic, emotional and ornate work by artists such as Caravaggio or Rembrandt. Next comes the Impressionism in the 19th century. This period and style is characterized by light color and everyday scenes. And known artists are Monet and Renoir. And next comes modern art, which is the 20th century. And there we have the styles with bold experimentation and abstracts such as Picasso, Matisse and Kandinsky. If you want to learn more about art history, you can always read introductory books. One of it would be Art, a Visual History, or watch free online lectures or videos about art and history of art. Tip number 3, visit museums and art galleries with purpose. So art needs to be appreciated in person. So to become more familiar with it, you should visit galleries or renowned museums to experience the artworks up close. Before you go, research the museum's collection and familiarize yourself a little bit with it, so that you know what pieces and artists to look for. When you are there, take your time with each piece. Also read the descriptions in the guides provided and really take your time to enjoy and absorb and receive this art that you are looking at. And also ask questions, especially when you are in galleries, at gallery openings. There are always people that you can ask questions, and this will also show interest. I will also recommend you some museums, but actually start with the museums that are in your city or the place where you live, or maybe when you go traveling you can also go to a museum. I am living in Berlin, so we have lots of museums, lots of art galleries and lots of art here. So it's quite easy. If you are traveling, for example, to Paris, the Louvre would of course be a very, very known and famous museum, but it's huge, so I think you need 1 week to really appreciate everything there. And then, of course, in New York, there is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There is the National Gallery in London or the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. Now we come to tip number 4. Learn art terminology. In order to become more sophisticated and literate with regard to the fine arts, it is helpful to be able to understand what the artists or the people are talking about. So to learn a few words and vocabulary that has to do with art. You don't need to be an expert, of course, but a few basics should help you, and those are the first word, which is medium. That's the material that is used, for example, oil or watercolor or marble. Then there is the word composition, and that means how the elements in the artwork are positioned towards each other, basically how they are arranged within the artwork. Then there is perspective, and that's the illusion of depth and space. And there is abstract. The word abstract, which means the art doesn't attempt to represent reality directly. And that's often the case in modern art, of course, and in galleries that you will be going to. My pro tip here is, instead of saying, "I don't get it," you can ask questions such as, what do you think the artist was trying to convey with that? That doesn't only sound more elegant and more sophisticated, but it's also more appreciative. Tip number 5. Start with iconic artists and works. So when you're really a beginner and you don't know a lot about art, it is best to start with artists that most people know and that you can easily talk about. And of course, those masterpieces are also usually universally recognized and often come up in conversations. Those artists and pieces are, for example, and here is just a small excerpt of examples that you can use. First is Leonardo da Vinci and his very, very famous Mona Lisa that is in the Museum of Louvre in Paris, or The Last Supper, also a very important and famous art piece. Then we have Vincent van Gogh, another very famous artist, with his famous art pieces Starry Night or Sunflowers. By the way, I have actually a picture of the sunflowers of Van Gogh in my kitchen. And then there is also Claude Monet, another very, very famous artist with very famous art pieces such as the Water Lilies. And I'm sure that all of you, or most of you, know those art pieces, but maybe we didn't know who was the artist or how they are called. So now you know. And then the fourth one that I would say is very known and universally recognized is Pablo Picasso, with his artworks Guernica or Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. In order to learn more, you could watch documentaries such as Power of Art or Loving Vincent, that's an animated film about Vincent van Gogh. Attend art-related events. Now we are going away from the museums and the classic and universally recognized artworks and are entering more into the world of the galleries and art events where the really artsy people are. And For that, I think you are now a little bit better prepared. You should attend gallery openings. Gallery openings are not only very interesting small events, and they are mostly free, they also are excellent for networking. And you will learn a lot about contemporary art that way. Another event would be art fairs. Because at art fairs, if there are some in your city, you can explore works from multiple artists, which is also an advantage, in contrast to gallery openings where only one artist shows their art. And then of course you could always attend lectures and workshops that are provided by museums or galleries. And in order to get access to those kind of art-related events, the most easiest thing to do is to get on the newsletters of art galleries and museums, because then you will be informed about those kind of events and also invited. Of course, you can also, while doing networking, talk to the other people and exchange contacts, and then this way those people will invite you. For example, I once at an embassy event, I got to know an older lady who was really nice and really got along very well. And she is an art enthusiast and really goes to art galleries a lot. So sometimes she sends me an invitation when there is some kind of opening. And she herself is on many newsletters. So I get to know about some of those events through her that I met at a networking event. So this way you can also get access to those art-related events. And my pro tip is that if you go to such an event or gallery opening, even when it is a casual small thing, I would recommend you to dress elegantly and also listen more than you speak and engage in thoughtful questions such as, for example, what inspired you to use this particular style when you are talking to the artist? So questions that are very beginner friendly, that you don't really need a lot of knowledge about arts, but that show interest, that show thoughtfulness. And then the artist will explain to you more and you will understand more, and maybe you will appreciate the art more after that. And tip number 7 is read and listen art conversations. So of course you can also expand your knowledge by acquiring knowledge through different sources, such as podcasts. So there are different art podcasts, for example, the Art History Babes or the Lonely Palette, and many more. If you Google it, you will find more podcasts about art. And there are of course also online articles, websites like Artsy and the Art Newspaper. Those articles often provide beginner-friendly insights. Tip number 8. Cultivate your personal taste. Your preferences matter in the art world, so start exploring different styles and also mediums to find out what resonates with you. Because especially in the beginning, that was my case, when you get into this world of art and you go to some galleries, you're not really appreciating it because you also have not really discovered your own style or what really resonates with you. And in order to do that, you need to see more and experience more. And for that, I would recommend you to visit different exhibitions, from classic to contemporary, and also to experiment with different forms of art, such as sculpture, photography even, or installation art. Point number 9. Etiquette for art discussions. When discussing art, because you will come into the conversations, especially when you're at small events, pay attention to the following things. Ask open-ended questions. So good questions would be, what do you think about this piece? Or, how do you think the artist's background reflects on this work or on their work? Those are intelligent and thoughtful questions that are beginner-friendly that you can ask. Second thing is, avoid criticizing without understanding. So instead of saying, that doesn't make sense, say it a bit more in a positive way and say, for example, I'd like to understand more about the artist's intent. And the third tip that I've already mentioned is to listen more than you speak, because this way you will also gather a lot of insight and information. And art is very subjective, so hearing others' perspectives can sometimes be enlightening. Tip number 10. Recommended beginner practices. Now I'll give you some more practical tips to get more familiar with the fine arts and through different mediums, to different ways The first is attend a beginner's art class. So try to be an artist yourself by learning how to paint, or maybe attending a drawing class, something that interests you. This will also bring out your feminine energy because it's a creative activity, and learning the basics of art and drawing or painting will also make you appreciate art and the work behind it much more. I myself also started painting during COVID. I think many people started painting during COVID, and I don't do it anymore, but it made me really appreciate what work and what really stands behind, and that it really requires effort and skills. Follow art on social media. So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, there are channels that really deal with art, which you can simply follow for free. And there are also many museums and galleries that are on social media that share very interesting insights and maybe also events. So this will be a double benefit for you. So maybe follow some of those pages, sites, or museums or galleries. That's basically it. Those were very basic tips, but I hope that they helped you. And if they were helpful for you, give me a thumbs up and I will be very happy to read from you. Let me know in the comments if you are very new to the world of fine arts, or if you have already familiarized yourself with it, if you've already attended gallery events or art exhibitions, museums. Just let me know. I'm very happy and curious to read from you. Also subscribe to this channel if you are into femininity, feminine movement, sensuality, sophistication and feminine self-development. And I'm looking forward to see you in my next video. Bye bye!